Hey guys, my name's Nova, this is Film Express, and today we're going to be talking about the new Black Panther sequel, Wakanda Forever. I'm just going to start by saying that Ryan Coogler is a very fantastic and talented director. Ever since he broke onto the scene with Fruitvale Station, he's been on my watch list, and every single project that he does is going to get a view from me, whether it's part of the Marvel universe or not. I'm definitely basically all in on his talent and his directorial vision. Now, you guys might know this about me a little bit, but I'm generally not a fan of Marvel movies or superhero movies in general, so definitely take this review with a grain of salt because I've been overly critical of these films for sure for the past little while. Basically, I have superhero fatigue, and I've had superhero fatigue since like 2012 or 2013 at this point. It's definitely tough for me to see these films in an unbiased way. I always try to give them a chance, and I just hope that one of them will surprise me in the same way that something like Winter Soldier did or the original Guardians of the Galaxy did, because those films to me have insane rewatchability and they're very entertaining, and they managed to do something new and break the formula. So I got to see this movie for free a couple days ago, so that's definitely one of the pluses of this whole experience. This movie has a lot to live up to. The original Black Panther, while I don't particularly love it or think it's a fantastic film, it was a very intense movie by Marvel standards, and it has one of the best villains to this day in Marvel history. Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger was basically an iconic villain from start to finish, where his motives were believable and genuine and relatable in a sense. And in a way, when you see him basically become this evil villain in the movie, you are fully engrossed in the story. That is one of the best compliments I can give to the original Black Panther. This film, unfortunately, it's resting in the shadows of the death of Chadwick Boseman, who's an incredibly talented actor, and he did a fantastic job in the original Black Panther. It's with heavy hearts that this film was made, and that feeling is very present throughout the whole film. The whole film is basically a tribute to him and his life and his legacy as Black Panther, and how it affected everyone around him and the resulting production, unfortunately. Unfortunately, when I look at this film, even just on surface level, this film is really just kind of banking on Boseman's death and is really attempting to tug at the heartstrings of the viewers because they know that this will affect many people. And unfortunately, I find that a bit of a cheap tactic. They could have really recast him, and I hate to say that. If they were really adamant on making a sequel, they could have recast him, and they could have waited a bit more of a substantial period of time to get this film made with another actor. But they really wanted to go in this direction where, spoilers ahead, they replaced Black Panther with Letitia Wright's character. And by all means, she was fantastic in the first film, and she's really great in this film as well. But this was a very predictable choice that falls in line with kind of the modern agenda of today's Marvel universe and most mainstream movies coming out today. I think it's really funny, unfortunately, that right before this film aired, there was a trailer to Avatar 2, which looks visually spectacular, and we're not going to talk about the narrative of the original Avatar, which was lacking in many ways. Who knows how the story of Avatar 2 will go, but just based on the visuals, it looks very stunning. It looks, technologically very advanced. It's almost like a handicap to Wakanda Forever that this film has these blue water aliens throughout the movie that basically look very much like the Avatar aliens. And if you really want to break down what this movie is, it's the Wakanda soldiers versus blue Avatar aliens. And for me, that just didn't work overall because it really seemed like the designs were lacking originality. It does no favors for itself in the fact that it's coming 1 month before Avatar 2, and the Avatar 2 trailer is playing before the movie. This movie is nearly 3 hours long. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's a very bloated narrative. The writing is absolutely brutal in my opinion, and the pacing really suffers. There's not a sense of consistent momentum. There's even a mid-credit scene, which was very weird in terms of a creative choice. It's not something I fully agree with, and it almost took me out of the film. I really didn't feel like continuing the movie at that point. And I know I'm being really harsh, guys, but I really just want to provide that other side of the argument, because there will be people who are going to love this film no matter what. And I really wanted to bring that filmmaker's perspective or a screenwriter's perspective to this critique. So at a 2 hour, 40-minute movie, some of the action sequences kind of work, for sure. I can't take that away from the film. But the problem really lies in the characterizations and the stakes, because there's almost no real sense of urgency. There's a big presence missing in this film, and unfortunately it is Chadwick Boseman. Like throughout every scene, you just really feel like he should be there, and him not being there really takes away from the film. So this film has a really interesting cultural angle, I should say, because it really focuses on the conflict between African Americans and Latinos. The film really tries to really hit that home. And unfortunately for me, maybe that didn't resonate with me very well. The film was really trying to just pander and cater to those demographics. And I'm open to being wrong about that. If you guys think I'm wrong about that, please share it in the comments. But I really think that it was really just trying to appeal to those demographics that are kind of underrepresented in today's Hollywood. And for me, this almost made me think twice about the motives, the intent, and the overall message that this film has. I should say some positive things about the film. Obviously, there are some really good performances. Angela Bassett, she really steals the show in this one. She gives her all, and to be honest, every second she was on screen was a joy. Letitia Wright as well, she was fantastic. The actor who plays the villain in this film, Namor, he's also very, very charismatic, and he brings a lot to the table. But unfortunately, his performance and his character both lie in the shadow of the iconic Killmonger from Black Panther 1. This villain really didn't feel like a threat to me, unfortunately, because in this film there's too many antagonistic forces coming at play. Namor's struggle and Namor's motives really don't feel that strong, unfortunately. So as good as his performance is, there was really something lacking there in the characterization. And of course, this is a Marvel movie, and no Marvel movie these days is complete without like a full-on 30-minute CGI overblown action sequence at the end of the film, which basically, honestly, it takes me out these days, because long gone are the days of practical effects, and some of the CGI in this film, honestly, sure, it looks great, but it's going to live in the shadow of Avatar 2. As soon as Avatar 2 comes out, something like this is going to look like T-ball, like kids play, compared to something like that. I may very well dislike Avatar 2 for its narrative, but just to see how the visuals played out in even just the trailer alone, the sequel to Black Panther has a lot to live up to, and unfortunately I feel like it's gonna fall really flat. Another thing I should mention is that this film really tries to set up more sequels, leave more for the audience to tune back into future Black Panther movies. Really hate to say this, but the story almost died with Chadwick Boseman. They really should have focused more on T'Challa's character in a recast, and I think that could have been way more of an effective use of this $250 million budget, honestly. At this point, this is like a cash cow, and there's so many instances where the plot is just so paper thin, and there's so many plot conveniences that really hold the stakes of the story back. A little bit of a spoiler alert, but even Letitia Wright's character, like at the end of the movie, she probably should have died. She got off way too easy. At no point in the film does it feel like she's at threat or she's unprepared for this or anything, which would have been a way more interesting character arc for her. So to me, it really feels like it missed the mark on a lot of the things that it could have done with the story, just in order to kind of fit that message, fit the agenda, and represent demographics that are not often represented in film as well or as often these days. We're making moves towards accurate and fair representation across the board, but unfortunately, just to achieve this, we're really suffering in terms of the stories and the films, the final products that we're getting. So overall, at 2 hours and 40 minutes, I cannot recommend this film, and I'm sure that there are Marvel fans who are going to love this film, and it's going to affect them emotionally, especially in the tribute scenes to Chadwick Boseman. But for me, this was a real waste of time. And like I said, I saw this for free, and I feel like I lost something. Like, I didn't lose money, but I lost a lot of my time. And yes, I'm being harsh, but that's just really how I feel about these Marvel movies and the Disney cash cow, the Marvel industry churn out that we're getting constantly. And this is a closing chapter to phase 4 of the Marvel universe, and phase 4 has been the absolute worst phase of the Marvel universe. Like, it's been downhill since phase 2. Phase 2 had some of the best films, and to see this very steep decline in quality has been baffling, to say the least. And to say this, like, Ryan Coogler did add some really cool directing flair to this film. Like, the first 20 minutes of the film had a really quiet and somber tone to it that I feel like I've never seen in a Marvel movie before. But very quickly, this film shows its cards, and it falls right back into every single formula and every single cliche that the Marvel universe has. So unfortunately for me, I did not like Black Panther Wakanda Forever that much. I would give it a 4 out of 10 or maybe a 3.5 out of 10, only because the film really was bloated, the narrative really suffered, and it didn't have high stakes to the point that the original Black Panther had, and it didn't feel as iconic as the original Black Panther. The original Black Panther as well had some of the best music in any of the MCU movies. Like, it had a whole soundtrack written by some of the best artists in the game right now. Kendrick Lamar even showed up to do some fantastic work on that album. And unfortunately, Wakanda Forever doesn't have any of that same energy or spirit put into the soundtrack. Unfortunately, the soundtrack is very forgettable. So that's really another way that the film suffers. And unfortunately, it leaves a lot to be desired. That is my really harsh take on Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I did not like this movie. It is one of the weaker MCU films I've seen, and it's doing no favors for the MCU going forward. Unfortunately for me, I think that I have to close my chapter on MCU films. The thing is, I find myself getting trapped in this because I always say I'm done with MCU, and then one of these films comes out and everyone claims it to be the best one yet, so I always fall for that. That's my take, guys. I hope you guys didn't get offended by it. My name's Nova. This is Film Express. Please like and subscribe, guys. It would go a long way to help the channel. And if you write any comments, I would make sure to comment with you and engage in the discussion. Have a good one, guys, and take care. I'll see you later.